Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Girl Boss Beauty community. I'm Stacey Elaine. We are fashion and beauty obsessed, but we keep watching on the budget and the bills, and that is what this video is about. I was laid off at the end of last year, and the community seemed to be so shocked that I was happily laid off. I wasn't stressing about the bills. And when I actually looked at my emergency fund, I was like, I could actually afford not to work for a while. But I ended up going back to work in 2 months. But at the top of the year, everyone asked if we could do like a monthly budgeting series. And so I'm taking you guys through how I'm replenishing my emergency fund, what my goals are, how I'm going to reach my goals, where am I in terms of tracking my goals. And so we're going to go over my March budget. We go over my goals, the budget, and what those bills look like. What were the issues? So I will tell you guys that everything I do in my whole entire life comes from a Black, single, independent, female frame of mind. And so does my budgeting, because I got to take care of Black hair, Black skin, Black health, and that's different for a lot of people. And so my budget will reflect that. And there are some non-negotiables because I am Black and I am female and I'm single and I'm independent. So let's get started with this month's budget. I will also add that we have a special topic for every month. And for this month, I'm going to be talking about the U.S. banking system and how to choose an online high yield savings account. I've had one for a very long time. I know a lot of you had questions about like, where do I save my money and how did I choose that place to save the money? And so I'll get into that after I go through the budget. So let's start off with these 2023 financial goals. I have 5 of them. The first, I want to pay off all revolving debt by mid-year. That even includes 0% interest debt. I don't want it to linger. The time for easy money is over. 0% interest loans and Affirm and all of that have gotten us used to living above our means because we can pay back the money at 0% interest. But baby, that time is over. And if it's not, then that bank or that fintech company might be on shaky ground. I'm just letting y'all know that's just how it goes. So did I pay off all revolving debt? Not all of it. But March was a very good month for me. I paid off $6,138.28. Give it up for myself. My second financial goal for 2023 is that I wanted to add $18,000 to my emergency fund. And in the month of March, I added $7,500 to my emergency fund, which is about 41.7% of my annual target. So very proud of myself there. 3, add no new debt, not even 0% interest debt. This is where we're struggling. This is where we're struggling because we're paying off, and you would think I would not buy anything with my credit cards, but I still buy things with my credit cards. Do I have plans to pay off the bill in full when it comes? Yes, but I still haven't paid off anything like that I bought on PayPal this year, where you get 0% interest for 6 months. I really believe I need to take PayPal off of my favorite ways to pay for a lot of my accounts because it's so easy. And that's the trap. I get trapped into using it because they have my information. I don't need to pull out my card. I just hit pay with PayPal, and then it's like 0% interest. I don't have to worry about it. But again, that is part of the cycle I'm trying to break this year. Unfortunately, I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it all the way 100. I have not broken that in the first quarter of 2023. Still working on that. I'm also shopping with my Nordstrom card so I can get Nordstrom notes, but I will pay that off in full. So, but technically, no, I am still adding new debt, but not like I used to. And that's progress, right? It's progress. I also wanted to save for a new car this year, and I saved $2,000 for a new car in March. So just started there. That's the first $2,000 that I'm allocating for a car. But dang it, I'm proud that I'm even thinking in advance for this. And my car is 11 years old, and I definitely have to pour more money into that this year. My car is telling me that. And then my fifth financial goal for 2023 is to save for my home renovations. If you guys don't know, I bought a house in 2021 by myself as a single female. And I am doing a multi-year renovation for this house. I bought a fixer-upper basically, and I did initial renovations, moved in, and then I'm gonna do the rest of the renovations while I live here. And I was able to save $5,000 towards my home renovations in March. So as you can see, I was hitting a lot of my goals. And I also want to mention my first goal, which I say I want to pay off all revolving debt by mid-year. I actually paid off my travel visa, zero balance. My Citi credit card, zero balance. My Chase travel, zero balance. Home Depot, zero balance. And I also fully paid off Floor and Decor, zero balance. So at this point, I only have a balance on my Nordstrom account, my American Express, which if you watch last month's budget and bills, you understand why I will basically always have a balance on my American Express. I'm never trying to get to zero balance in the short term, I will say. I have a balance on my Best Buy account, and then I have a balance on PayPal. And so that's what I still have. And again, all of this will be paid off by mid-year. So I also gave myself some financial tasks that I need to do, and that's also related to this month's special topic. So the first task that I had for myself was open a new online savings account for luxury bags. I can say that is done. So I opened a new account, and I'll talk about that later. So I can check that one off. Secondly, it says any extra unaccounted money goes to investing. And actually, I've changed my mind about that. Given where the markets are right now, I can get a 5% CD right now instead of putting it in the stock market, which is really, I feel like, has another level to go down, to be honest. It's just my call. So I'm willing to park extra money in a CD or a certificate of deposit. And I'm also willing to put it in a money market account, which I'll also talk about later when I talk about alternatives to high yield savings accounts. So did I invest it? No, I didn't. But that's just because of where rates are for low risk money options right now. I'm trying to be a little safer with the funds. So my third financial task for the year, I wanted to open a new online savings account for my new car savings. Did I do this? The answer is no. Why did I not do this? And it's also related to this month's topic. It's because, again, I was only saving $2,000 for that new car in the month of March. It's not a lot of money. I'm not going to get a lot of interest off of that. So what I decided to do was to just separately allocate that money, but put it in an existing high yield savings account so that that I gain more interest. And so I actually put it in the same account where I have my emergency fund money. And so I was able to I'm going to get more interest and compound interest every month from this, because I have way more money in the account than just $2,000. And so that was smarter for me than just opening a new account with $2,000. If I was going to open a new account with $15,000, I probably would have made a different decision, but this is the decision I made with $2,000. And then my fourth financial task of 2023 is hire an interior designer and an architect to help me with the renovations for the house. And I have not done that yet because I want to save more money towards the renovations before I go out looking. So that's where we are. Now let me go over the March budget and bills. So, as you guys know, I started a new job in January. I had a few issues with my paycheck in the first month, but now that's all squared away. I had no issues with my primary paycheck. But I will say the state of Texas came for your girl. So in the month of March, I got a letter from the state of Texas Workforce Commission's office, and they said, hey, we overpaid you for unemployment. Now, if you remember, when I said that I got laid off, I mentioned in that video that they denied sending me checks anyway, right? For various reasons, weeks and weeks, even though I was unemployed, I would not get an unemployment check. Well, at the beginning of January or the end of December, I was able to request the checks. They sent me 2 weeks of unemployment checks, and they requested one of those weeks back. And so I had to send them $563 in the month of March, and I paid them back in full. They do give you like a payment plan. I had to pay a minimum of $60, but I don't want to do that whole, I'm going to send you a little bit and a little bit. I just sent them the whole $563 so that they can get out of my hair, Savannah. And I can go on with my life. And so I did that. Happy I did it. Third thing related to income is that I got my bonus from my previous company that was paid based on my performance in last year. And so that was part of my settlement and my agreement that I would not sue them, but they would send me this bonus payment. And so I got it actually like the last days of February, but I had to go to the bank and cash it, and it had to clear. And so it really didn't clear until like the beginning of March, to be honest. So I didn't mention it in last month's live stream, but I will tell you guys that it was more than I expected. Now, when it comes to a bonus like this, I never budget for it. I never put it in my budget, because whatever I choose to do with that money is my business. But I'm not going to set my living expenses around that bonus, because they can wake up one year and say, we're getting rid of this bonus, and now I just would have to settle for my base salary, right? And so even though I knew it was coming, I thought it would be based on 20% of my annual pay for 2022. And it was actually 28% of my annual pay for 2022. So if you were wondering, how in the hell was she able to save all this money in 1 month? That is how I got a bonus. And I will tell you, that is exactly how I've always been able to save for so many things. Like when I got my bonus many years in a row and I knew I wanted to save for a house, I might spend like $1,000 on something I wanted, or maybe $1,500 on something I wanted, and I would save the rest and I would put it in my high yield savings accounts or money market funds for a set purpose or a rainy day, or I would put it in my emergency fund. And that is how I was able to live without a job and without them sending me unemployment checks from the state of Texas. And so that is what I would always say. And I always tell my sister this, like, when you get extra money, you save it like you ain't got it. Like, you didn't have the money before. So it's not like it needs to burn a hole in your pocket. Like, yes, treat yourself to something nice, but that is your time to save, honey. And that is what I did, and I'm very proud of me. I will also say, because I got such a large bonus in March, I was able to give a lot of it to the church that I currently attend, because I feel like when I win, my church should win. And so I gave over $6,000 to the church that I'm currently attending. And that was really important to me. And I always want to mention that, because at the end of my videos, I always say, be blessed to be a blessing. And this is what I mean. So like, if I get a win, my church gets a win. Or if someone is in need of something at that moment, then if I won and they need something, then we won. You know, I'm blessed to be a blessing. And I'm filming this on April 5th. And I also gave a donation to my Alumni Association of Spelman College for our annual Founders Day, which is April 11th. So I sent them a little payment as well today, actually. So when I say I'm blessed to be a blessing, this is what I mean. And like, when I get a little extra, I make sure that I'm blessing organizations that mean a lot to me, and I'm taking care of people that mean a lot to me. So in the month of March, for my savings, I saved $22,750 in total. And that was split up between a travel fund, an emergency fund, my house fund. I have a wedding fund. As you guys know, I just opened a bag fund, and I now have a new car kind of like segment, if you will, that I'm tracking. And then, of course, every month I'm saving for retirement in my 401k. So that is how I saved money, and how much I saved, and why it was so much in the month of March. So now I'm going to go over these March bills. And my mother, who watches my videos, hi Peaches, my mother said, you know, how in the heck are we supposed to save money and do right and set funds aside, and the price of everything is going up? Like, how do you get ahead in these high inflationary times? So these are my tips for the bills. And I will tell you the bills that got out of hand for me this month. My clothes shopping got out of hand, but you know, I got a little extra money, so I felt comfortable doing that. Okay, what else got out of hand for me this month? Just things for like home expenses, general home expenses. I spent about $160 this month. Nothing broke down or anything. These are just run-of-the-mill things I needed to buy for the house. And I was like, man, this is a little high, to be honest. Let's talk about self-care. Can we talk about it? Now, as an independent Black woman, I'm gonna take care of myself. And when I say take care of myself, I mean in all ways. We're going to make sure that we look good and we smell good. We're going to make sure we have a roof over our head and we have furniture in this house and we're not sleeping on the floor. We're going to make sure we have groceries in the refrigerator. And I have to do all of that myself. And when it comes to the self-care and the upkeep, the price is high. Between getting my hair done, my brows waxed, a facial, getting my nails, I got a mani-pedi, I got a gel mani and a regular pedicure. these things have gone up. Like, can we talk about the cost of self-care? Self-care is now, if you're doing it outside of the house, I'm going to be honest, it's a luxury. These are luxurious prices, okay? Things that used to be, I used to get a mani-pedi for $35. It was $25 at first. It went up to $35. And it was at $35 for a long time. Now I'm over $100 every time I get a mani-pedi. Why, Sway? Why? I don't understand. But these are the things I'm talking about. Like the cost of getting black hair done. I got to manage my natural hair that's under this wig and get the wig done. And that costs. Like, and then I'm running down my hairstylist because black hairstylists are in high demand. Okay, let's just talk about that. Oh, it's a lot. And then the tipping. Oh my gosh, the tipping. Everybody wants a 30% tip. Let's just be honest. Everybody wants a tip like they gave you 5-star diamond hotel service. And I understand that the price has gone up for these waiters and waitresses and those in the service industry as well who are making probably minimum wage or less. And I wish their employer could just pay them a living wage so that they did not have to try to get their living wage from those of us who are tipping. But that's where we are. They're like, nah, if you can afford to come here, you can afford to pay my health insurance. And you can afford to keep the groceries in my refrigerator and your refrigerator too. That's where we are now in the U.S. And I'm just like beside myself with the cost of self-care. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it. But I don't know if you guys know this. This was the first time I got my nails done this year. Because the cost is high. So I'm like trying to stretch out and like really lean into it being a luxurious experience because getting it done every month, I don't think I can do that with my budget and bills. Leave in the comments, does anyone else feel this way? I'm just asking. But I say all of that to say we have to actually manage these bills. Like you have to call people and see if you can get a lower price. Like I was telling you guys last month, I called Verizon. My phone bill went down. You need to call people and see if you can get a lower rate, a lower interest rate on your credit card. If you can pay less for cable, if they have a secret plan they didn't know about, if they have a loyal customer discount, you got to call around and get Progressive to give you new car and homeowners insurance and you bundle. Like you as an adult have to manage your bills. If you think you're just going to be able to live and like all the prices are going to fall into your budget, that ain't how it works. Like you got to like kind of bogart your way sometimes for everything to fit into your budget. Also, if all else fails, and actually this is not even all else fails. This should be number one. You should always seek more money from your primary employer, even if that means you quitting that job to get another one. See, I believe we date the job. We don't marry them. Because once you start not allowing me to have the lifestyle I want to live, I'm going to move around. I'm going to seek others. That's when I'm putting in PTO. You got to start preparing the others. Because I'm just not going to sit around and I'm a hard worker, y'all. If anybody knows me, I put in my time. I put in my work. I'm going to give you value at your organization. And in exchange, I expect value back. But when it comes time to bless me, you bless the others and you don't bless me, I'm not going to sit around for that. And I know people who are just happy to be at the company. They feel like it's a privilege to work where they work. For me, it's a privilege to get paid what I want to get paid. And sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? I got to make a move. I got to make it happen. And like, if you are really serious about living the life you want to live, then that's the step you have to take. Because for me, I don't have a husband. I don't have anybody where I can go to and just be like, oh, you know, my check a little short this month. Can you run me something on this car note? Or can you run? No, I don't have anybody. Like, either I get it for myself or I don't have it. And sometimes I just have to have those conversations where I'm not going to get it from this company. I really have to move around. And so, yes, I have worked for 1, 2, 3. Wait, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm at my 5th company now. And that's not even a lot for some people. I'm just saying, we have to manage it. Okay, so now we have wrapped up the March budget and bills review, and I will now start talking about this month's special topic, which is the money and banking system and how to choose an online high yield savings account and why you would want to do so in the first place. Like I was stating earlier, I am someone that's actively managing my money. So in the year 2005, a year after I graduated college, I started saving, and I realized I had a Bank of America checking and a Bank of America savings account. And my Bank of America savings account paid me 0.01% interest on my savings account. It was like nothing. Now, I graduated with an economics degree. I have like all these finance classes under my belt. I knew something out there was better for me, for a place where I just want to stash my cash. This is not where we are saving for retirement. And this is not the funds where we are investing and we expect to see like a high rate of return and we can keep it in the market for a long time. No, this is where we're going to use the money at some point, or we might need access to it at any given time. And so when that time comes, we need to have ready access to the coins. However, we are not going to save our money and only get 0.01%. So even in 2005, I looked up which banks had the highest interest rates, to where if I started saving money, I would get more interest on my money. And I came across the term a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is just an online version of a bank that, because they give you less and fewer amenities than a traditional brick and mortar bank, they pay you a higher interest rate to play and invest your money, because they realize they're going to give you less customer service. They're going to pay you more. And as someone who's a millennial that really doesn't like going to the bank anyway, I don't need that face-to-face customer service. So back then I signed up with Capital One, and I got a Capital One high yield savings account. I remember it paid me 5% interest. I could not believe it. Like 0.01% versus 5%. Like, come on, y'all. You know what I was choosing. So I put all my money. This became my primary savings account. And I actually closed down the savings account that I had with Bank of America. I was like, you are not needed. I'm not keeping a penny in this bank. And I've never reopened a traditional savings account ever again. I don't even have one, and I have no interest, because again, I have not increased in my desire to go to a brick and mortar bank. That's just not me. So let me just say, what should you look out for these online high yield savings account? Number one is that they're giving you a high yield. And so I always go to Forbes, CNBC, Bankrate.com, NerdWallet. I look around periodically in the online finance streets and I'll say, who's giving good rates to take my monies. And that is how I choose the options, the base options. I'm looking for a high yield. Secondly, after you realize that you're not getting done in, and it's a regular traditional savings account, and they're actually going to pay you a high yield, you want to make sure that the bank is FDIC insured. And this is where we enter the portion about money and banking, because I just realized that a lot of people don't know how the banking system actually works. Now, luckily, I'm your friend on the internet who has an economics degree, so I can tell you. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation is going to insure your money in a bank up to $250,000 here in the U.S. So you want to make sure that any bank that you're dealing with is FDIC insured. This is very, very critical right now because we have gone through a period of easy money and low interest. And during that time, something called fintech was created, financial technology, and they created these organizations that look like banks, but they're not banks. And a lot of them sometimes are not FDIC insured. And even Forbes and CNBC, they can recommend these organizations that pay you a high yield, but they're not FDIC insured. And I want to make sure that you get that. Like, you need to make sure on that bank's website, it says they are FDIC insured, because banks only have to keep a very small percentage of the deposits at the bank, like in the safe. And so let's say a bank has $1 million of a deposit, and then they're only probably required to keep 10% of that. And when the Democratic senators start talking about banking regulations and we need more regulations, they're mostly talking about the oversight that is given to banks of certain sizes. So if you're like from the 50 billion to 200 billion, or you're now 200 billion to, however much, they want to make sure that there is oversight into how these banks are run and what they're doing with their money and how much they're expected to keep on hand and all of this, how much they have to report. Well, in the previous U.S. administration, they rolled back a lot of these banking regulations in a time when interest rates were almost negative and it was so easy to get money. And so they only kept, like, of the $1 million deposit, they keep $100,000, and then $900,000 they go and invest. That's how banks make money. And sometimes they're invested in things like mortgages, right? And then they're going to use your money that you deposited, and they're going to get what, like, when I got a mortgage, it was like 2.875%. That's what my mortgage rate is. So they lent me money at 2.875%. That's what they were getting paid. But the interest rate they were paying on their savings accounts was probably like 0.01%. That variance is how they make money. What they invest in, the return from those investments, very long-term investments, some short-term investments, y'all, make sure it's FDIC insured, and make sure that when you do your research for these banks and you Google them, because we Google everything here, and when you Google them, you make sure they're not on the shitty banks list. Okay, so what else do I look for getting out of the money and banking system? What else do I look for a high yield savings account? I also look for no minimum balance. I don't want you to tell me, oh, you got to put at least $1,000 in. If I move $1 in, I want to be able to get a high yield on that dollar. Also, I don't want any monthly fees. Call me silly, but I don't want any fees. So I'm looking for FDIC insured. I'm making sure it's giving me a high yield, no minimum balance, no monthly fees. And lastly, what's really important to me is that I have easy money transfer access, because how these online banks work is that you have your checking account set up and they're gonna create ACH transfers from your checking account or whatever account you already have established to this online bank. So you're gonna send them money to set up the account, and then after you get the account set up, you can periodically put as much money in there as you want. Also, you can pull money out. Some banks try to limit how many times you can pull money out. I don't like that. Also, they say like, oh, no excessive transactions. And if you go over what they deem as excessive, they will force an excessive transaction fee on you. No, I don't want that fee either. So that's also something I look for in a high yield savings account. So again, I'm looking for a high yield. Yes. So you're going to do your research. Right now, a high yield is considered, I would say you want something 3.25% and higher. 3.25% or less is not competitive. So you want a high yield. You want it to be an FDIC insured bank. You want no minimum balance, no monthly fees, easy money transfers, no excessive transaction fees. Okay. Now, what is the national rate right now? The national rate is like 0.05. Horrible. So they're saying like a high yield could be 0.35, but I just told you, no, it's not. Your minimum for a high yield savings account is going to be 3.25% or higher. Now, let me tell you how many high yield savings accounts I have. So I opened my first Capital One in 2005. I still have it. And then that rate at the time that I opened, again, it was about 5%. 2005 was a higher interest rate time period than what we are used to seeing. Now, I held that account and I still have it, but it is no longer considered a high yield savings account. And this is something you have to know about. Those people who just get in the game, they're not going to be able to tell you this, but I'm old enough, I'm long enough in the tooth to tell you, honey, sometimes the account becomes just a regular account, because my Capital One account now only gives me 0.1%. And it started out as Capital One's high yield savings account. But then Capital One came out with a new high yield savings account, and it was not my account. And so if I wanted a Capital One high yield savings account, I actually had to open up that account and transfer money, which is what I did this month. But I stopped putting money in that first high yield savings account because it wasn't giving me a high yield. So I moved on from it. Now, I also started putting money in a federal credit union, which is PenFed. And I think I opened this account around 2009 or 2010. And they also had a high yield savings as part of that credit union. I still have this account as well. But again, it's not a high yield account anymore either after 13 years, because rates started this high and then they went so low, the account just went with it. So what did I do? I stopped putting money in that account and I opened a new account. The new account that I opened next was by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is one of the largest banks in the world, honey. And I can tell you right now, the world would never let them fail. The whole United Nations would come together and support Goldman Sachs to keep on thriving, okay? So they have an online savings division. It's called Marcus. It's definitely for us millennials. And so I opened a Marcus Goldman Sachs account. That is where I keep my emergency fund, to be honest. And then I wanted another account. And where Which account did I go with? I went with American Express. Now, Marcus is always rated one of the highest. The customer service, the ease of use, it's just really easy to send your money in and get it back. They don't charge you any fees. There aren't any minimums. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I put the money there, and that's where I have my emergency fund. Now, I needed another fund for my home renovation. So where did I save that money? I actually saved it in a new account, American Express Savings. I've been an American Express card holder or member for many, many years. And so I opened a savings account with them. And now they even have checking accounts, which I love. I don't have one, but I'm looking into it. I'm going to be honest. So I have an American Express Savings. That's where I keep the money for my home renovations. Then when I was saving money to buy a house though, and this is key, like come here. When I was saving money to buy a house, I actually didn't save the money in a high yield savings account. I saved it in a money market account. Now, what is the difference? The difference is access and limits. So because these online high yield savings accounts, again, I wanted no minimum balance. So that means I could start saving with $5, $10, $500. A money market account will give you an extremely high yield, even higher than an online high yield savings account, but you need to have a higher limit. They may say you need to keep a minimum of $2,500, of $5,000, of $10,000 in this account. Again, I was saving for a home. And I think ultimately I saved like $80,000 in this one account, this money market account. And I looked up, my Marcus and American Express savings are giving me 3.75% interest right now. My money market account, which I have with Fidelity, is giving me 4.48%. So for the higher limit requirement, they do give you access. You can have a debit card. There's no minimums, they can give you checks. It's more so like a traditional bank with lots of customer service because they're going to ask for more of your money. Yes. And so they give you more interest in exchange. And so I would also say, I know this special topic is money market, is online savings accounts and high yield savings accounts. And as you can see, I have an extensive history with all of these, but don't sleep on money market accounts if you're saving a whole lot of money. Like last month, we talked about saving for a home. And if you start saving for a home with $100, then start with a online high yield savings account. But once you get to like $5,000, $10,000, and you know that you aren't going to use that money for like years, like me, I saved for like many years for another house. So I could put that money in a money market account because I knew I was not going to use that money for a long time. And then lastly, like I mentioned, I opened up a new Capital One high yield savings account this month or last month in March. And that is for my bag fund, the luxury bag and shopping fund. I told you guys that I needed to do that. I set a goal for myself to set that up. And so I set it up with a new Capital One. So now I have two Capital One savings accounts. And I actually started putting money in the old one, which is for travel, because that money comes in and out like really fast. And so any travel funds go to the old one, and then the Lux shopping goes to the new one. And so, yeah, that's how I ended up with basically 6 of these accounts. One is at a Federal Credit Union, which is insured as well, just like the FDIC insured banks. It's insured under the National Credit Union Association. So if you're looking for a credit union, make sure that they have that type of insurance, because you're going to want it. Credit unions do fail. I'm just being honest, just like these banks do. Yeah, also, I just want to say at the end, y'all pray for me, because I love eating out. And it's expensive. It got real expensive last month. Real expensive. So I'ma just end there with asking for y'all's prayers. Also, actually I won't. I will say, if I was to open a new online high yield savings account right now, who would it be with? It would be with Bask Bank, BASK. So Texas Capital Bank, which is the #1 bank in Texas, is one of the top regional banks in this area. They set up a online high yield savings division, and they call it Bask Bank. And when I was preparing my notes for this, they were giving 5% interest for their high yield savings account. That now has dropped. I think it's now 4.85%. Now that but SVB Bank went under. So they dropped all of their interest rates. They all went lower. But I just want to say, I'm not afraid of regional banks. If I chose to open up a separate account for my car fund, that's where I had planned to open that one up. However, I didn't. I just want to get high interest by having it in an account that has more money. And so if you have any questions, leave them below. This is a very long video because it's normally a live stream, but because of March Madness in Houston, honey, the people were not coming to a live stream on this Monday. So here we are with this video. As I say in every video, be blessed to be a blessing, and I will see you in the next video.